Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Plant Fanatics. Today we're going to be talking about cold hardy fruiting vines that you can plant in any landscape, so stay tuned. The first vine on our list is native to North America, the Mediterranean, and Central Asia. It's the grape. While the grape is by no means rare in a backyard grower's landscape, it is such a hardy, vigorous, and heavy producing vine that this plant just can't be ignored. Its historical significance can't be ignored either, with grapes being used for wine for thousands of years. In fact, the first liquor law was enacted due to wine and established rules for wine trade all the way back in 1700 BC. And nowadays, there are more grapes produced every year than any other fruit, hands down. They're also not held alone just to wine. Grapes are great for jams, raisins, and fresh eating, so there's no shortage of usage for this plant. Typically, you're going to find two different types of grapes. Vitis vinifera, being a European grape with great flavor but a lack of cold hardiness, and Vitis Rotundifolia, which is native to North America, and it has great cold tolerance but typically lacks a good flavor. So with that being said, the best grapes are actually hybrids of American and European grapes with great flavor and cold hardiness. I found the maintenance of these plants to be extremely low in the backyard landscape. They're very adaptable to different types of soils. They can be grown very easily on trellises, fences, and arbors, but for the highest fruit quality should be grown on a post and wire system. If you're not growing grapes yet in your backyard landscape, I highly suggest getting these because they're very easy to care for and they're going to give you such delicious fruit. The second must-have vine on our list is native to Eastern Asia in the Himalayas, and it's the hardy kiwi. While many people know about Actinidia deliciosa, which is the common kiwi that's found in a store, very few people actually know about Actinidia arguta, which is a much smaller kiwi and doesn't have the fuzz on it. You eat it much like a grape, and it's far sweeter than a normal kiwi, so many people find its flavor to be superior to the normal kiwi that you would find in a store. This berry was introduced in the US by William S. Clark in 1877 when he brought seeds with him from his travels to Japan, and he planted them at the University of Massachusetts. And like many plants after its introduction to the United States, there were many people who wanted to plant it, and they did, and they used this vine to cover unsightly areas of their garden, and it was very popular in the late 1800s, early 1900s, but much like the pawpaw, fell out of favor for whatever reason. But now, thanks to plant fanatics just like you and I, this plant is starting to make a comeback, and rightfully so, because it's a very sweet and unique growing vine, and one which we should be proud to be able to grow in colder climates. As far as when you guys are purchasing this vine, it's very important that you know what variety you're getting because many varieties need a male and a female plant in order to have fruit set. However, there is a variety called Acai, which is self-fruitful, and that is actually the variety that I grow on my property, and it is a very, very hardy vine, a very vigorous grower, and it can actually do well in full sun or partial shade. The third plant on our list is a plant native to Japan, China, and Korea. It's the chocolate vine. I know what you guys are thinking, and no, not that chocolate. This plant is in no way related to Theobroma cacao, which is where the chocolate typically comes from that you're used to eating. The chocolate vine is its own separate entity. Even though you won't be making your own chocolate from this vine, it actually has a very rich history. In 1845, it was smuggled by Robert Fortune from China. Robert Fortune is a well-known Scottish botanist who is credited with smuggling tea plants out of China and bringing the tea industry to India. And while this may not seem like a big deal now, back in the day this was a huge deal because nobody else made tea besides China at that point in time, and so to bring it to India was a huge deal. The chocolate vine is known for having very fragrant and pleasant smelling flowers. It has a purple sausage-like fruit, which the flesh inside is edible. It tastes very much like coconut milk. Leaves can be used as a tea substitute. The rind of the fruit can be stuffed and fried, and the fruit itself is used in drinks. Just like a lot of other vines, this is not a plant that you want to let get out of control. You're going to want to prune it regularly to keep it manageable and to keep it in confined spaces because if left to its own devices, this thing will just grow wild. And while we're on the topic, you may want to check with your local government because in some places this is considered an invasive species and you may not even be allowed to grow it. If growing it in your area is not a problem, then this is an awesome vine to plant. It's a very vigorous grower. You can grow it in full sun all the way to full shade, which is great because that means you can put it in places you wouldn't be able to put a lot of other plants. All in all, if you're looking for an extremely unique plant to put in your yard that people really haven't seen before, this is going to top the list, and it has an edible fruit, which is always a plus. The next vine on my list is a vine that's native to North America. It's the Maypop. You may also have heard of this plant referred to as a passion flower, a passion fruit, or perhaps a hardy passion fruit. While these names aren't technically incorrect, they can be a little bit misleading because most people, when they think of the passion fruit, they're actually thinking of Passiflora edulis, which is the tropical variety of passion fruit. This is actually Passiflora Incarnata, which is a much more cold hardy variety and is much more common in the northern United States. And while there are certainly differences between the tropical passion fruit vine and the hardy passion fruit vine, they both have some similar characteristics, including that beautiful passion flower that they are known for. For those of you watching this video that have never seen a passion flower, it is one of the most beautiful flowers that exists on this planet, and there's nothing else like it given by any other plant. The passion flower was actually given its name by early Europeans who called it this due to what they saw as a resemblance to the crucifixion of Christ. Native Americans ate the fruit and used the roots for medicine. It's a very vigorous vine that must be kept in check. It will die back to the ground in winter and emerge in May, hence the name Maypop. Fruits ripen in August and September, and they're used to make jams, drinks, and for fresh eating. While it's very easy to find a great tasting Passiflora edulis, it is much more challenging to find a great tasting Passiflora Incarnata. There has not been much breeding work done at all to these plants, therefore it's easiest to find a good tasting variety if you wild forage them, or talk to somebody who has wild foraged them and found great tasting varieties. And if you can get a cutting or perhaps get some seeds to fruit that is really good, that's definitely going to be the best route to go to get a great tasting variety of Maypop. And just keep in mind, guys, I would not plant this next to all your other plants because it has a tendency to pop up where you don't want it and it'll take over the garden. This is going to be best on a fence that's a little bit away from your garden beds or a trellis. They like full sun, but they can grow in part shade as well. And if you find a great tasting variety, it's a great addition to any edible landscape.
Thanks for checking this video out, guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share with any of your friends who you think would find it interesting. Thanks for watching.